is live. There's the Imperial Hotel and Suites in Lakeland, just south of the Polk Parkway. And that is a building, Stephanie, that just got shredded.
Shredded indeed, Al. The Hurricane Irma did one heck of a job on this Imperial Swan Hotel and Suites. The front of it looks like something out of a war zone. And this hotel was sold out when the hurricane's eye came through here this morning.
The room was shaking, and that was scary. That was scary. You could feel the building moving.
The Satellite Beach resident was staying at the Imperial Swan Hotel and Suites with her husband, 2 kids, father, and 4 pets. Think you'll still evacuate inside Florida again, or will you leave the state next time?
My husband said next time he's leaving the state. Yeah, he's like, I'm getting out of here.
The hotel's general manager said the hurricane was just relentless and that the front of the hotel actually didn't fall off until after the hurricane's eye had passed.
It was absolutely chaos. It was, people crying. The wind was just howling. It didn't stop.
And if the front of the building coming off wasn't bad enough, Rob said the windows on the 7th floor also blew out.
Once that happened, you just got water coming in. I mean, there's nothing you can do at that point. We're lucky more didn't get blown out.
Rob doesn't know how the hotel recovers from this. He's just focused on caring for the guests until they leave. And as for Sarah, she received some good news. She said that her neighbors sent her videos of her home, and its fence was damaged, but she said that her roof was intact, and also there wasn't any flooding. Reporting live in Lakeland, I'm Stephanie Claytor. I'll send it back to you, Al. Looking at Bach Academy from the outside, it doesn't appear that anything is wrong. But when you step inside, it's a completely different story. This is what's left of the ceiling of Bach Academy's administrative building. Hurricane Irma peeled off the roof and flooded the building. When you came and you saw this, I mean, what crossed your mind?
Oh my gosh. How are we going to get the school year, continue our school year?
Principal Damian Moses says the building houses the charter school's offices and music and art classes. Visual arts teacher Tiffany Weaver is holding back the tears. She knew the roof wasn't in great condition prior to the storm, but she never expected this to happen.
I think what gets me is the kids' artwork. I don't want to throw anything away. It's just the art teacher in me wants to keep everything, and so it's hard to. It's a little overwhelming deciding what to keep and what not to keep.
In another classroom, ag teacher Paul Regal is working to save the instruments.
The cases got wet, so now trying to dry them out, see which ones. The wooden clarinets and the oboes might be in trouble.
Hurricane Irma also ripped to shreds the school's radio telescope. So now those astronomy lessons will have to be put on hold.
It's difficult when you have such an extraordinary project, such a unique project, and so many community partners to see the destruction.
It was a new project the school was working on with NASA. While the school's principal believes classes will still be able to be held on campus in the school's other buildings, 6th grader Mary Lee Hardman wonders how that's possible.
It's so sad to see such a beautiful school being torn to little pieces and trash everywhere.
Right now, volunteers are focusing on cleaning up the place and saving what they can. On scene at Lake Wells, I'm Stephanie Claytor, Bay News 9. The top of this huge tree fell on top of flowers from the heart when Hurricane Irma passed over Winter Haven last week. Making matters worse, the floral shop's new co-owner, Michelle Izagari, says they don't have insurance.
I've been through hurricanes before, and we never had any damage or anything significant like this. It was just a shock, really.
The tree fell on the shop's storage room, and getting it removed has been a challenge.
I've had a hard time. We didn't have money in the beginning to buy a chainsaw or rent a chainsaw, so we had to wait until a friend was able to get one, and that wasn't until yesterday.
This big tree falling onto the business wasn't the only devastating blow. When the power went out, Michelle says she lost all of her fresh flowers.
And we had to empty bucket after bucket of dead, moldy flowers. And it was just heartbreaking to know that I just purchased some of those flowers.
She said that alone was thousands of dollars thrown away. And with the loss of power, making that money back has been a slow process.
Being closed for a week could be detrimental, as far as bills go and getting things back on track. It's hard to catch up once you get behind.
Michelle is applying for the Small Business Administration's disaster assistance loans, but she fears getting into even more debt considering how competitive her industry is.
The summer had been really slow, so we didn't need to have this setback.
A setback many small businesses are dealing with as they try to rebuild after Hurricane Irma. According to FEMA, 40% never reopen their doors after a disaster. But Michelle is determined not to be one of them. In Winter Haven, Stephanie Claytor, Bay News 9. Walking down Pineville, the devastation is hard to miss. In front of every home, there's furniture that had to be thrown away. This is what the neighborhood looked like Monday when the floodwater in some areas was knee-deep. Jessica Wilson and her 5 kids were just waking up.
We actually went through the window because the water started coming from the back door.
You can still see the water lines on her closet doors, and there's the smell of mildew throughout the home. They lost practically everything.
We had to throw out our furniture, our mattress. The refrigerator actually stopped working.
The single mom doesn't have renter's insurance. When the power went out, she also lost a week's worth of income at McDonald's, where she's a manager.
And I actually lost my car. My vehicle won't start either. It's rough. I'm just trying to stay strong for the kids.
With her vehicle not working, she wonders how she'll get to work daily and get her kids to school. She tried getting help from FEMA.
They approved me for the lodging, but there are actually no hotels in Lakeland that's actually close by so the kids can be able to go to school.
She's got a lot to figure out, but today she's just thankful a local church and neighbors stepped in to help, giving the family clothes, food, and water. You're still smiling.
Yes, you have to smile. You have to smile through a lot of things.
Jessica has to move out by Monday. She and her kids will live with her mom until she finds somewhere else to go. In Lakeland, Stephanie Claytor, Bay News 9. This Red Cross shelter at St. John's United Methodist Church in Winter Haven was home to the Gades for nearly a week. Beon and Deborah were at home sleeping in the Winter Haven Manor when Hurricane Irma tore off the side of the building.
They got banging on the doors about 2:30 Sunday night and said we had to get out immediately.
Beon says officers took him in his wheelchair and carried him down 8 flights of stairs in order to get him out of this building.
Didn't have time to get anything, really.
From there, they were taken to 4 shelters in 4 days.
It was ridiculous, but they didn't know what to do with us. That's how bad it was.
Then Beon got a virus, and he had to be taken to the hospital for 4 more days. When he got out, he said the Red Cross shelter took them in.
They're absolutely just wonderful, taking care of us, and I'm just amazed at the number of Red Cross workers from all over the country.
We've really found out who our true friends are, the ones who've helped each other. We've held each other while we cried.
They were 2 of 19 people from the manor staying at the shelter. With Beon in a wheelchair and only able to see out of one eye, someone gave them an air mattress to stay on.
It's horrible to your life to be just snatched away from you in just a moment, but then you find they're good people out here.
When we went to check on the manor, we saw inspectors giving it its final inspection, and they deemed it safe again to live in. So around 3:30 this afternoon, the 105 residents were told they could come back home.
God is so merciful. We're home. You don't know how glad I am to be home.
In Winter Haven, Stephanie Claytor, Bay News 9. As of 4:30 this evening, there were only 7 hotels in Polk County accepting FEMA payments for transitional housing for evacuees. And when I stopped by the Westmont Inn in Lakeland, one of the hotels that's on the list online for FEMA evacuation hotels, the owner told me that he learned today his hotel wasn't approved. So he said he had to kick out 61 rooms full of people who were looking for a place to stay.
None of us have anywhere to go. I have no family here. All of the people here are refugees from the hurricane. They have nowhere.
That was the sense of desperation at the Westmont Inn in Lakeland. Another guest, Melinda Dixon, was looking for somewhere more permanent for her elderly father who is on oxygen and is a veteran. She said FEMA sent her to this hotel.
Very hard, it's very awkward. because it's just me trying to do it, and I can't do it by myself. He could pass away today, he could pass away tomorrow.
A tree fell on their home. It's a similar scenario for Wanda Hicks, who is disabled and was approved for FEMA assistance. After a week of searching, she found a room at the Days Inn and Suites.
I said, well, do you know how long we can have it for? She said, well, you have to call back every morning to find out if it's available. It's like we really don't know from one day to the other if we got somewhere to stay. So
FEMA says it's up to the hotels to apply to become a part of its Transitional Sheltering Assistance Program. So far, none of the big chain hotels in Polk County have signed up, but these folks are hoping that'll change so they'll have more options. In Lakeland, Stephanie Claytor, Bay News 9.